Welcome to Moxie Bets presented by Caesar Sportsbook. I'm your host, Katie Mox. Coming up on today's show, there's no TNF this week, so we're talking all things NBA. We have a special NBA insider to help us and you get right for the slate in the association tonight. We'll take a crack at a few of the best featured boosts on Caesar Sportsbook. And of course, you know it, you've got some Mox Locks coming your way. But first, let's welcome in our special guest, Munaf Manji, the co-host over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, including the NBA Gambling Podcast. He's also a contributor on Action Network. Munaf, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me back. Happy New Year to you. Unfortunately, NFL is winding down, but hey, we still have NBA to talk about. So glad to be here with you, Katie.
I'm so glad that you're here too, because I've just been fully NFL and I've just been kind of dipping my toe in the NBA. I feel like I get more into it, of course, when football season is over. So I'm glad that you're here to just like help set me straight and give me all of the insider information that I have not got to quite yet. But before we get into that, let's talk Mox Thought. And of course, what everyone is talking about right now, Bills safety Damar Hamlin collapsed on the field after a tackle stopping Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins in what seemed to be a routine play. Hamlin received CPR on the field for 9 minutes before being taken off in an ambulance to a medical center in Cincinnati. He remains in critical condition after suffering cardiac arrest on the field. During Monday night's game, the NFL announced that they have no plans to resume the game this week, and there have been no other changes to the Week 18 schedule. There's been a crazy outpouring of support. I donated. I know that the Sports Gambling Podcast donated as well to his foundation's community toy drive. It's raised over $6 million so far. So you love to see everybody coming together and supporting him in that way. His uncle came out yesterday and said that, he's still in critical condition. He's still, I think in a medical induced coma. But he's gone from 100% needing help breathing to only 50%. I've been seeing a lot of doctors on Twitter saying that they kind of keep you in hypothermia for about 24 hours so that everything calms down. Then they start to warm him back up. So hopefully once they start to do that, his breathing and his lungs will come back together. But, Munaf, I'm sure you were watching Monday Night Football when this happened. What's your take on this? It was extremely scary to watch.
It really was. I was having this conversation with my wife and some of the guys on the SGPN network. And we're so consumed in football and that we're fans of the game and sports like that when something like this happens, it feels like it's one of our own that it happened to.
Yeah.
And your heart just kind of goes into your stomach. But it's really unfortunate. And again, football right now, especially after Monday, was just an afterthought that we have to talk about the human element of it, that hopefully Damar Hamlin can recover from this. And like you just mentioned, Katie, that things are improving for him. Maybe it is going to be a longer stretch down the road for him to get back to 100%. But at least we've gotten some positive news over the past 24 to 48 hours. And you could just see the distraught and how affected the players were on both sides for both teams. And it was unfortunate that it happened. It's part of the game, but I think we also have to give a shout out to the medical personnel that acted so quickly to not only administer CPR but get a pulse back for Hamlin and then able to transport him to the local hospital. But again, like you mentioned, people have donated to his foundation, to his toy drive. It's been incredible to see the support and the love that he's gotten. So hopefully nothing but well wishes for Damar Hamlin. He's able to get back on his feet and take care of himself before we even think about him getting back on the football field.
Yeah, Munaf, you worded that so well, and it's something that I hadn't thought about, but it resonated so much with me when you said it feels like one of our own. And when you work in media and sports media, we all got into this because we're fans of the game. We love football, we love basketball, we love sports, and we spend so much of our time researching these players and these teams and watching. And it feels like you're kind of part of this family. Of course, we hear the players talk about that it's this brotherhood that, of course, none of us can understand. But I do think, in sports media and just sports fans in general, we kind of all feel like a family as well. And they're, of course, a big part of that. And so it felt like one of our own. And I was so distraught
Yeah.
yesterday over it. There's been some positive movement, so we're happy about that. And I do love how the league has come together. Every single NFL team has changed their social media handles to have, Hamlin's number 3. A lot of the stadiums, in fact, I think all of them were lit up in Bills colors. And I do think that it did just shake everyone to the core, because while it's a part of the game, we're used to seeing broken legs and
Yeah.
ankles and concussions, even as awful as those are, but they get back up, or they give the fist pump or the thumbs up, and we're like, okay, we can keep going. And this was an entirely different situation, and it's something that I don't think that we as fans knew could happen, that someone's heart could stop on the field like that, and certainly not the players. And it'll be interesting to see how the NFL, and I do think, canceling the game or postponing the game, and definitely whatever that is, was the right thing to do. This whole
Yes.
5-minute warm up rule thing, I don't know what it is. ESPN's
Yeah.
doubling down on that, and the league is pushing back on it. Who cares at this point? They did the right thing, and credit to the coaches, because I feel like they were the ones on the forefront of being like, we're not sending our players back out there. And to your point, Josh Allen and Stefan Diggs looked absolutely despondent. I mean, looking at their faces was some of the most heart-wrenching things I think we could watch. But it'll be interesting to see how the league deals with this, and how players will play on Sunday. It's hard to bounce back from something like that. But, to your point, obviously everyone, I think, in the whole United States is pulling for Damar Hamlin.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I saw a tweet that somebody said that imagine if your coworker or somewhere like that collapsed and your boss said, "Oh, okay, you have 5 minutes to regroup and get back to work." It doesn't work that
You're
way.
right.
It doesn't, right?
No.
So obviously it's a completely different situation, but you're right. I mean, it was the right decision to postpone the game. It was very difficult for players on both sides to given 5 minutes to warm up and go back out there. And you hit the nail on the head that the coaches, Sean McDermott and Zach Taylor, stepped in and said, "Hey, we're not sending our players back out there." I think it was a 100% correct decision by those coaches and eventually by the league.
I agree. With Caesars Sportsbook and Casino, every bet earns with Caesars Rewards. That means whether you win or lose, you're always earning towards perks like free stays at iconic Caesars properties, game tickets, dining, and more. And if you haven't started yet, here's a reminder. Your first bet is on Caesars, up to $1,250. Download the app with promo code OMAHAFULL and place your first bet. If you win, congrats. If you don't, you'll get it back as a free bet. Time now for Capper's Corner. Let's welcome back in our guest, Munaf, and let's talk NBA. Again, I have not been fully into this, so you're here to help me and the listeners. What games do you like, and what should we be looking at on tonight's slate?
Yeah, Wednesday is always a schedule where, there's more games than not, right? Last night on Tuesday, there was only 3 games. That typically happens in the NBA, but we get a more of a full schedule in the NBA. And I think we can start with one of the Eastern Conference matchups here between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Toronto Raptors. This is going to be a fun one. It's 2 Eastern Conference teams. I know Milwaukee has been dealing with some injuries with their second and third best player with Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton being out. But Giannis is just having another Giannis type of season, right? And it's no surprise that he's one of the favorites to win MVP this year, at least in the top 4. But the Bucks are on a back-to-back situation here, Katie. They did play last night at home against Washington, where they did get the victory, and more importantly, for betting purposes, they did cover the game. I think it's a tough situation for them here, being on a back-to-back. They head up to Toronto, where it's I'm sure it's cold. They already listed some guys out for this game. Drew Holiday is going to be out for this game. Joe Ingles is going to be out for this game as well. I know Toronto hasn't been playing very well over the course of the season, but I think for a situational purpose, with their guys being healthy for Toronto, I think this is a good spot for Toronto to take care of business here tonight, whether you want to take the spread. The spread has moved a little bit with the injury news, but I do think they get the job done here against the Milwaukee Bucks in this game here, Katie.
Yeah, when you talk about Giannis being Giannis, the Greek freak, he had a career high of 55 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists on Tuesday's win over Washington. He has 3 straight games of 40 points, but I know he's listed as probable tonight, but do you think there's a chance that maybe they rest him after such a big game and a back-to-back, and he has been nursing that kind of knee pain? Do you think Giannis plays tonight?
Yeah, that was one of the things. That's why I wanted to bet Toronto early, was me thinking that they were going to rest Giannis because he was questionable as of yesterday's game. I think an hour before the game yesterday, they said, hey, yeah, Giannis is going to play. He goes out, drops a 55-point game, a career high for him, like you mentioned. Probably a good night to give him the night off, maybe to rest that knee. But if you're kind of reading between the lines, and that's the struggle as you have as an NBA capper from day to day, is learning how to read the injury report and kind of
Yeah.
reading between the lines. My gut, Katie, tells me that Giannis probably ends up sitting here tonight against Toronto in Canada.
Munaf, one of my favorite things about what you do, at least for the NFL, is you have the ref report that you put out. Is there
Yeah.
something similar in the NBA? Do you look at refs for games similar to the way you would in the NFL?
It's funny that you just brought that up because I have a group chat with a couple of my buddies that we talk about NBA every single day. And I was like, well, there's something I should probably look at as far as NBA's referees goes, because there's refs that call a tighter game where there's more foul
Yeah.
calls, whether there's, refs that let them play and don't call as many, foul calls, which obviously affects totals more.
Yeah.
And the stats and the numbers are out there. And I think that's been something that I have been looking at the course of at this juncture in the game or the season, I'm sorry, is because you kind of want to have some data gathered for some of the refs and how they're
Yeah.
calling games and how much, how many fouls they're calling, how many points are being put up in the game. As far as sides and totals, do they favor a home team? It's very, like you said, it's very similar to the NFL ref report. Not sure if I'll start doing the NBA ref report, but that is something that you should consider in your handicapping as well.
Okay, definitely. Another game that you're looking at is the Nets and the Bulls. The Nets are favored by 5 points, over under 236.5. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, look, I'm not getting in front of this Nets train right now. They've won, I think 12
Yeah.
games in a row. And they're playing great basketball. I mean, last season, this Nets team was in the news, I guess we can say for the wrong reasons, right? Not because of basketball purposes, with the whole Kyrie situation, him being in and out, the vaccination status and all that. That's something that we don't want to get into. But from a gambling perspective, the Nets are playing great basketball. They're healthy right now. They have by far the best offensive efficient team in the NBA over the last 10 games. They have a net rating of 13.4, which they are the only team in that span over the last 10 games to have a net rating of 10 or 10 or more. But in particular, in this matchup, what I like against the Bulls is that the Nets have a lot of success against teams that are below 500, like the Bulls are.
Mm.
Against teams with a losing record, the Nets are 15-2 straight up. Meanwhile, the Bulls are a team, like I mentioned, that are below 500, and against teams like the Nets that are above 500, they're only 10-13 straight up. The Nets, they've been doing great in the first half. They're a great first half team. Over the last 10 games, the Nets are 9-1 in the first half on the money line straight up. So if you want to take a look at the Nets like I am in the first half, whether they want to play the money line or the spread, I currently see that at -2.5. The Nets also do have a little revenge on their minds here, Katie. The Bulls did come into their building in Barclays Center and beat them. So I think the Nets do return the favor here tonight in Chicago.
I love that. And I love a first half bet, one, because you get in, you get out on the game. And I have a play in this game later, which I'll talk about. And it's actually fading Kevin Durant, which I know is crazy. But this first half bet goes into it because I think it's going to be a little bit more of a competitive game. But I can see the Nets getting out there really fast and getting a good lead, and then maybe, taking some people out or not going as hard in the second half. So good on that one in the first half. And then you also like my Warriors. And Detroit tonight, what are you looking at in this game?
Yeah. This Warriors team has been so interesting to watch this year, right? Obviously, they're without Steph Curry, who's playing at an MVP level before he got injured. You take a look at the splits for the Golden State Warriors, where they're at home and on the road, right? You take a look at their home ATS numbers here, Katie. Golden State at home this season, they are 14-4-1 against the spread. They're 10-4-1 against the spread, as home favorites. But it's been complete opposite for them on the road. They are in Chase Center here tonight in the Bay Area. I'm not getting in front of them. I learned my lesson fading this team at home where I lost a lot of money. I'm not making that mistake here with the Golden State Warriors. It is at -7. Detroit, they just haven't been a very good road team either. If you kind of look at their defensive metrics and those stats, those advanced numbers, just not very good on the road. I'm not fading this Golden State Warriors team at home. Give me the Warriors. I'm not going to come on your show and fade the Golden State Warriors.
Well, you know what, Munaf? I like that about you, and I think it's a very smart bet. I believe that they won what 5 or 6 home games in a row, and I've been saying to
Yeah.
people like, don't let these Warrior boys heat up. They started out slow this season, but it's like we got Poole that's playing better, coming back into himself. Of course, he kind of laid an egg in the last game. I believe it 31 attempts and only 28 points. Draymond
Hmm.
Green coming off a great game. Klay Thompson just letting go of all the BS and enjoying his game again. And he dropped 54 points
Yeah.
in his last game. So they're starting to heat up. They're starting to come together. This Warrior team definitely has depth, and hopefully the defense gets a little bit better. But by the time Curry comes back, this team gets into the playoffs. That's definitely someone that you do not want to see based on their experience and their depth. So I appreciate you not fading the Golden State Warriors tonight, and I like that bet. There's one more game that you're looking at on the slate tonight that you like.
Yeah, let's go over to the game between the Miami Heat and the LA Lakers. This is going to be the second game on the Four Letter Network doubleheader here, but I would keep an eye on the injury report for this game. I did see LeBron is questionable in this game for the LA Lakers. My gut is telling me that he probably sits here tonight. And if he does sit here tonight, I do like Miami, despite them not being a very good road team so far this season. They do get Jimmy Butler in the lineup here tonight, Katie. And I think there's an opportunity for guys like Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler to come out here and take care of business. Again, make sure to check that injury report because there is a witching hour for the NBA around 5 o'clock where those injuries are updated. But Miami has been another team that's kind of gotten off to a slow start this season. They have a lot of talent on this roster. There's no doubt about that. They were just in the finals against this Lakers team in the bubble not too long ago. So for me, I like Jimmy Butler here tonight. I think he has a big game. I think there's enough for this Miami Heat team to take care of business. Lakers have been one of those teams that have been great in the first half. But for whatever reason, the second half, they just kind of tail away. And I think that's where Miami can really clamp down on defense and create that separation. So I'll go ahead and lay the lumber here with the Miami Heat on the road against the LA Lakers. And again, it's not a travel spot for Miami either because they just played the Clippers in LA. So they have been in LA for a couple days now.
So it's so interesting that you said that the Lakers are good in the first half and then fall apart. That reminds me of the New York Knicks last season. And I feel like the New York Knicks first half bets or second quarter bets were kind of like my bread and butter. Is that something for the Lakers to look at, first half bets for them?
Yeah, and I have a buddy that has been like strictly betting Lakers first half. And it's really, in a lot of the sports media outlets I've been talking about, something that I've noticed that LeBron gets off to a great start in the first half, and then he just kind of runs out of gas. He gets tired,
he's old.
And because he's pretty much the offense right now for them, right? They don't have Anthony Davis, who's out indefinitely with a foot injury, so it's LeBron James, and then take a guess on who's going to step up for you on any given night for this Lakers team. So, like he plays a significant minutes in the first half, and like you mentioned, he is getting up there in age. He turned 38 not too long ago, or a couple of days ago, actually. And for whatever and so that this Lakers team just kind of tails off. So I think that's where Miami can really take the advantage. So maybe a live opportunity might be better for the Miami Heat as well.
Yeah. Okay, I love that. All right, so you've already given us some of your plays with the games that you like. Thank you very much for that. But let's talk about some best bets here for the entire slate. What's your favorite money line bet?
Yeah, I was kind of going back and forth with this again when we're, I was doing my notes for the games here today. I do like the Kings here tonight on the money line at -115, currently over on Caesar Sportsbooks. I know they are in a back-to-back situation here, but this Atlanta team, Katie, they are just so bad defensively.
Yes.
And there's a lot of things that I've been reading over the past couple of weeks that the coach and their superstar guard, Trae Young, they're not getting along. I don't know how much truth there is to that, but
I've been reading that that's been happening for about a month now, that they have not been getting along. Remember when he didn't show up to a game? I know he was injured, but still he wasn't on the sideline.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of what's led to the separation between the head coach and their star player and Trae Young. And again, you look at the ATS numbers for Atlanta: 6-11-1 against the spread on the road. They're 4-7-1 as road underdogs, 2-4 as road favorites. Sacramento has been one of the better surprises. I was high on this team coming into the season with De'Aaron Fox, with the addition of Sabonis last season at the trade deadline. They added some key pieces, Keegan Murray in the draft as well. They hired, one of the former Warriors assistant coaches, Mike Brown. So I like this team. I think they, despite them being on a back-to-back situation here, I think they can get the victory against the Atlanta Hawks.
All right, I like that. I'll tell that with you. I'm going to take the Blazers money line. Now, this game is basically pick 'em. So the money line is minus 120. Portland just has the best player on the court, obviously, with Dame
Yeah.
Lillard. I'm not sure that Minnie's defense is equipped to defend the perimeter against a shooter like Dame. The Wolves allow opponents to score on 36.9% of their 3-point attempts. That's the fourth worst in the NBA. The Blazers just covered a 9.5 point spread over Detroit, which maybe isn't that impressive, but it's still almost 10 points. They're now 22-14 against the spread. They have one of the best against the spread records in the league. They're also covering 61% of their games after a straight up victory and 57% of their road games this season. The T-Wolves on the opposite side of things, they're just 15-23 against the spread this season. So give me Portland on the money line.
I love it. These two teams already matched up earlier this season in Portland, and Portland won both of those games. And you hit the nail on the head that Minnesota is one of the worst, if not, yeah, they are bottom four across the 3-point defense, whether it's makes allowed percentage and attempts allowed per game. And when you have shooters like Damian Lillard, Anthony Simons, Jeremy Grant, Josh Hart coming into your building, your hands are going to be a little full here. So I love this play with the Blazers here tonight.
Let's go. Okay, so let's talk spread. What's your favorite spread bet on the slate tonight?
Yeah, we mentioned it earlier. I'm gonna stick. Well, actually, I like the Nets, and then on the first half at minus 2.5. Yeah, but I'm gonna go with the Grizzlies here tonight. Minus 7.5 against the Charlotte Hornets. I think this is gonna be a matchup where you see John Morant have an opportunity where he could be the next player that drops 50 points here tonight. We've seen that throughout this week, right? We saw Donovan Mitchell, Klay Thompson, like you mentioned last night with Giannis. This backcourt, when LaMelo Ball is on the floor, is just so bad defensively. I mean, if you take a look at some of their defensive metrics for this Charlotte Hornets team, it's not very good. So I think guys like John Morant, Desmond Bain should be able to get whatever they want. I think this is a good smash spot for the Memphis Grizzlies here tonight. Their spread numbers have been very good on the season as well, despite them not being very good on the road. I'm just not a believer on the Charlotte team. Their defense is just so bad. I'm going to fade that defense. I'm going to take Memphis to get a double-digit victory here tonight against the Charlotte Hornets. So I'll lay the minus 7.5.
Okay, so we're doing Nets first half minus the 2.5, and then we're also going to fade Charlotte. I like it, although I am a Warriors fan, so I'm slightly salty on the Grizzlies. It's a personal thing. I will get over it. I'm taking the Sixers minus 7 versus the Pacers. And I know that the Pacers have been a really great road team, and they are hot right now. They've won 4 straight. However, the Sixers have been absolutely dominant at home. They have a 15-5 record at home. Joel Embiid, of course, is Joel Embiid. He's been on fire, ranked second in the NBA in scoring, 33.5 points per game. He just posted a double-double, 42 points, 11 boards on Monday in New Orleans. You just talked about New Orleans not really being too fond of them right now. Indiana is one of the best three-point shooting teams. However, Philly, I think, can neutralize the long ball pretty well. That's why they have the number 3 in the league in defensive rating. The Sixers are limiting opponents to a league best of 33% from beyond the arc. Head-to-head, the Sixers have also won each of their last 3 matchups, including a 14-point victory in October. So, give me the Sixers minus the 7 here. What do you think?
I love it. I think defense is what you mentioned about the Sixers team, that they are one of the best defensive rated teams at home are the Philadelphia 76ers. And like you mentioned, despite the Pacers being a good 3-point shooting team, I think defensively, at least defending the 3-point line, Philly is top 10 in most categories, so the top 5 in most of those 3-point defending categories. They're number 1 in 3-point percentage allowed, number 3 in makes per game allowed as well, and they're top 10 in attempts allowed per game. So I think that Joel Embiid is going to have a great game here tonight. They also got Tyrese Maxey back, who's being
right.
He's been out for a while for the Sixers team. Doc Rivers said that he's going to be playing off the bench, so he's going to be leading that second unit for the Sixers. So, and James Harden, he's gotten healthy. He looks good this season. He's almost looking like the guy that he was with the Rockets. Obviously, a little bit older than that now, but
yeah,
he's healthy. That hamstring isn't bothering him anymore, and he's been able to rack up points and, more importantly, assists for this Sixers team. So I agree with you about this play as well.
Let's go. I love it when you're on my side. Okay, let's talk totals. What's a total over under that you're eyeing?
Yeah, I think when you talk about the NBA, we see a lot of teams that choose to play defense when they want to and when they don't want to. But I'm going to go back to that game that you love here tonight with the Blazers money line. I'm going to take the Blazers team total to go over 117.5 here tonight. You take a look at the two.
Ooh,
Yeah, and
I
it's
love it.
really what we talked about, Katie, that the 3-point defense for this Minnesota Timberwolves, it's not very good. So I think that guys like Damian Lillard, Anthony Simons, Josh Hart, the guys coming off the bench should be able to score at will here tonight. You take a look at the two matchups earlier this season, like we talked about. Portland scored 124 and then 133. So I think that we're getting some value here. I think this will be an up and down game. Expect Damian Lillard to have a big game. I think there's no reason why, or no reason why they could have a bad shooting night, but I think the numbers are in our favor here, where
Yeah.
Portland should be able to score 118 or more points here tonight.
I love that. And I'm mad at myself for not thinking of that and doubling those together. So I'm tailing that all day long. I'm looking at this Pistons and Warriors game. And I also think that the Warriors are going to win and cover this game. But I'm going to take the under 232, which to me, this is just kind of a gut play. I feel like it's ticked up. It opened up around 230 and it's been going up. Obviously, a lot of bettors liking this over. Golden State just put up 143 points, but that was in double overtime. I
Yeah.
feel like, yes, the Warriors have had issues on their defense, but Draymond Green is looking better. That defense is getting a little bit better. And Klay Thompson had a crazy night at 54. I don't think he's going to repeat that again. I can
Yeah.
see them stepping up their defense a little bit. Maybe scoring takes a little bit of a dip. This 232 just seems high to me. And it just seems weird that it keeps going up. All the signs point to the under, but my gut feeling is just to take but the over. All the signs point to the over, but my gut is saying to take the under.
Yeah, I think that the crazy part about the Pistons is that if you take a look at their defensive numbers, they are the worst at home. And for whatever reason, they play better defense on the road.
On the
Uh,
road.
yeah, it's crazy. And again, they're on the road here tonight in the Bay Area against the Warriors. So I think they're number 19, if my memory serves me correctly, as far as defensive rating on the road, where the Pistons are dead last at home. So they're playing better defense on the road for whatever reason. Like you mentioned, the Warriors team, despite them playing with a lot of pace, I think defensively they should, clamp down here after giving up 134 to the Hawks. I know that was double overtime.
Yeah.
Again, I think we'll see some regression here, like you mentioned with Clay. He had 54 the other night. Jordan Poole, guys like that. So I think this might be, in the neighborhood of 118, 105, something like that. It just squeaks under the total here.
Yeah, it's going to be close. It's definitely going to be close. I could see it at,
Yeah,
like a 230 or something, but the 232,
sure.
I don't know. It's not, look, it's not the sharpest play that I have, but it's a gut feeling. And that's what I'm going through on this one. Let's talk player props, because I know that you're pretty amazing in the prop market. So what's a prop you like to hit the over tonight?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to that Grizzlies play that I gave out. Ja Morant here tonight at over 28.5 points. I love this play. If you want to ladder this up all the way up to 35, I think that this is going to be a big night here for Ja Morant. We talked about how this Hornets perimeter defense is just not very good with LaMelo Ball on the floor. I think Ja Morant's going to be able to get to the basket at will. He's developed a jump shot where he's going to he's been something that he's been working on in the offseason, and he's going to need to do that as he goes through his career, because this guy is just a human highlight reel. As much as people might hate the Grizzlies as Warriors fans, or even some of the things that he comes out and says, he's still a great, one of the better basketball players in the NBA. But I think that he has a big night here tonight. I'll take the over 28.5 points here, and I'm going to ladder that up all the way up to 35, 40 points.
35. Okay. Well, then maybe you could do a little adjustment there and get better value if you feel good about it. All right. I'm going to take Pascal Siakam. Is that how you pronounce it? Siakam?
You're absolutely correct.
Siakam. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Pascal Siakam over 1.5 made threes. This is at plus 120. So Pascal has been low key pretty nice recently. He's dropped 25 points or more in 8 straight games. He's also made 2 3-point shots in back-to-back games. The Bucks are top 10 at defending the long ball there, but he's been hot. And at plus 120, I like this value here. I think he's going to get at least 2 threes tonight.
4 of his last 5 career games against the Milwaukee Bucks, Pascal Siakam has made 2 or more 3-point shots against the Bucks.
Let's go.
In your favor.
Let's go. Plus
and
120.
I'll say this, Katie,
we love it. Yeah.
My co-host on the Propcast, he did take Siakam as his best bet on his PRA. So hopefully he knocks down a couple 3-point shots for you.
I love it. Again, I love all the support here. It makes me feel so good about my bets because I'm just now getting into NBA. I'm not fully entrenched in it quite yet. Okay, so who are we fading tonight? What's an under you like for a prop?
Yeah, I'm really high on this guy coming into the season. I actually do have a 18-1 ticket for him to win Most Improved Player of the Year, but it kind of hurts me that I'm fading him tonight. That's going to be Tyrese Halliburton, points and assists under 31.5 here. Combined 31.5 for his points and assists combined. This I think is a tough matchup for Tyrese for whatever reason against his Sixers team. We talked about how good they are defensively, especially at home. They just have different bodies that they can throw at Halliburton to the Sixers. If you kind of take a look at his history against this Sixers team, since he joined the Pacers at the trade deadline last year, he's only gone over this projection, or he hasn't gone over this projection of points and assists combined at 31.5. The closest he's got was 28. I think that he's going to have a harder time here tonight. He's played in, 7 career games against the Philadelphia 76ers back to his days with the Kings and the Pacers combined. He's only gone over this projection once in that span. So as much as it pains me to fade my guy here, Tyrese Halliburton, I'm going to take his points and assists combined to go under 31.5 against his Sixers defense.
Okay, I like that. And you said it pains you. This also pains me because I'm going to take Kevin Durant under 29.5 points tonight. It's at minus 111 on Caesars. And I know it seems crazy because KD has been hot and the Nets have won 12 straight, right? We're not standing in front of that bus here. But I think it goes hand in hand with what you said earlier and taking the Nets in the first half. I don't think that this is going to be a blowout game. The Bulls are decent on both sides of the ball. And Durant has scored under 30 points in 4 of his last 5 games. I think that the team is capable of winning without Durant playing hero ball tonight. So I can see him taking a little bit step back, obviously being very efficient. Obviously, I think that they win this game, but I'm going to take him under his points.
All right, I'm a pop quiz here. So since his days with your Warriors, he's played in, I think, 10 career games against the Chicago Bulls in that span. How many times do you think he's gone over 29.5 in those 10 games?
Let's say 5.
Just once. So the
Just
stats
once.
are on your side. Yeah. And that was the last game against the Bulls. So the stats and history are on your side here for Kevin Durant to maybe not have a great night.
You're my NBA encyclopedia. I'm just gonna start sending you messages all the time, being like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. What are the stats? And then you'd be like, blah, blah, blah. I love it.
Oh, you know I got your back, Katie. Hashtag DGens only.
Hashtag DGens only. I love it. Wow, only one time. Now with the Warriors, was he getting more than that?
So I think the key thing when we talk about teams and their defenses, we talked about how bad Minnesota's 3-point defense is. Chicago is right down there with them. So I think this is an opportunity where the other guys get involved for the Brooklyn Nets here tonight, right? Guys like Seth Curry, guys like Joe Harris, Kyrie could have a big game as well. So you don't need maybe Kevin Durant to go out and score 35 a night like he has been throughout this season, where he can, maybe divert to guys and find, guys like I mentioned there that can take on the scoring load and drop shots here tonight. Where he might just be more of a facilitator here tonight, Katie.
All right, we'd love to hear that. Are you looking at any teasers or parlays for tonight's slate?
Yeah, I don't really play a lot of parlays, but I put a fun one together here. I'll give out two. And the first one, it's the same game parlay in that Atlanta Hawks and the Sacramento Kings game that we talked about earlier. That total is at I think the highest number I've seen all season at 245. So the books are expecting a lot of points to be scored tonight. I know both these teams like playing with pace. So I'll give you 3 legs for this. It comes out to close to 5-1. It's officially plus 490. So De'Aaron Fox over 25.5 points. Trae Young over 27.5 points. And then Domantas Sabonis to go over on his rebounding props at 12.5. That comes out to around plus 490. So I think that we'll see some back and forth between De'Aaron Fox and Trae Young here tonight. Sabonis, he's just a monster on the glass, grabbing those rebounds at plus 490 for that game. And then and I'll give you one more that I really like. I talked about Ja Morant. So Ja Morant scored 30 plus points here tonight. And then Jalen Duren of the Pistons their center, he's been doing a great job rebounding the basketball. I know they're dealing with a lot of injuries in that front court for the Pistons. I know the Warriors do give up some rebounds to that center position as well. So for Jalen Duren to have 11 or more rebounds and then John Morant to score 30 or more points, that comes down to around plus 515.
Ooh, okay. I
Yeah.
like it. I like it. I have done a same game parlay as well for the Warriors, obviously. Warriors Pistons. Well, not all. I have a Pistons player in there. So I'm doing Jordan Poole over 3.5 rebounds. Obviously, he's coming off his worst game, 31 shots, only 28 points, but he still had 5 assists. And in fact, he's had at least 5 assists in 3 of his last 5 games. I'm taking Klay Thompson over 33.5 points, rebounds, and assists. We know he just dropped 54, but he is also averaging 38 points per game in general. So he could get over this just in scoring. I don't think he's going to have another 54-point game, but I think he's starting to get that monkey off of his back and kind of come into like the old Klay Thompson. So I want to ride that wave, splash wave, if you will, wave pool. And I'm also going to take Bogdanovich over 2.5 threes made. So he scored at least 20 points in 3 straight games, including 2 or more triples in each of those. All of those hit plus 750.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, Jordan Poole, I think he bounces back here tonight.
Yeah.
Again, Klay Thompson going to be in that facilitator role as well, like we talked about with Kevin Durant. I mean, I think he'll still get his points, whether it's like 20 or 25, but he can rebound the basketball. You know that. He can distribute the basketball as well. And Bogdanovich, I mean, he's pretty much their best shooter for the Detroit Pistons. It's not even close. So, I agree with you. All 3 of those legs there.
Yeah, you look. I mean, a plus 750. It's a little bit of a crapshoot, but I like it. I'm rolling with it. Let's make some money tonight, Munaf.
Yes, ma'am. I think we put out some good plays, so hopefully we can have a profitable night.
All right, Munaf, there's a new thing we are doing on this show to support our partner, Caesar Sportsbook. We're taking a look at some of their featured boosts. So there's a few of them today. There's the New York Big Three, which is Spurs versus Knicks. There's Embiid does it all, which we know that he does. Pacers at 76ers. Brooklyn streaking. So the Nets versus the Bulls. We've talked about that game at length today. Which one of these do you think is worth a little bit of a sprinkle?
Yeah, I love the New York Big Three one that has been posted by Caesar Sportsbook. I think this one has a great shot of hitting. Julius Randle, he's just having another great season as far as scoring the basketball for this New York Knicks team. He hasn't had a lot of success against the Spurs, but I think being at home, I think that he'll be able to have a good night scoring points here tonight. I think that he can get into that range of 30 to 32 points here tonight. And that's correlated when you ask him to knock down at least 3 3-point shots, right? He gets the attempts. He's a pretty consistent shooter from beyond the arc. We talk about Jalen Brunson. He is their point guard, especially with RJ Barrett being out for this New York Knicks team. He's really taken on that facilitator role. So asking him to get 7 to 8 assists here tonight, not a big deal. And Mitchell Robinson, their center, he's just a rebounding machine. I mean, if you just go through this guy's game log, if he's playing the minutes, he's grabbing the rebounds, and he's a great offensive rebounder as well. So at plus 410, put some pizza money down, put some beer money down. I think this one is probably the best one that I like out of the 3 that are offered.
Munaf, you are the encyclopedia for the NBA. So who am I to go against this one? I am also going to ride with the New York Big Three for all of the reasons that you just said. I'll put a little pizza money, little beer money, and we will ride that one together. Now it's time for Mox Locks. Out of all of the plays that you've given, and maybe some that you haven't, what are 2 that you really like that you're definitely taking to the window tonight?
Yeah, we talked a lot about the New York Knicks, the Brooklyn Nets across town there, that team. Yeah, I'm going to go with them in the first half. This team just get off to great starts in the first half, led by Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. I think this is a good spot, for them to come out and play well. I know they are on the road. They have won 12 in a row, like we talked about, Katie, and they've just dominated teams that are below 500, like the Chicago Bulls are. So I've seen a lot of times where they kind of do fade in the second half. So like you said, get in, get out with your money. I'm going to go Nets first half, minus 2.5 as my first lock here.
I love that. And I'm going to ride that one with you as well. I'm going to do the Jordan Poole over the 3.5. I put 3.5 rebounds, I put it in the parlay. It's at nice plus money at plus 110. He's been averaging over this mark. I think he has a better game today. I think he has a bounce back, but I still think he's going to be pretty good with the rebounds here. So I'm taking him over 3.5. What's your next lock?
Yeah, I'll give you a player prop here as well. We talked about the Pacers and the Sixers game. Joel Embiid, I like his rebounding prop here tonight, over 10.5. He's just been dominant against his Pacers team, especially on the glass. And Pacers, they're not a very good rebounding team overall. They're down there as far as team percentage, where they allow close to 46 rebounds per game. As a team, they don't do a very good job of rebounding either, where they rank number 25 out of 30 teams. And Joel Embiid, over his last 11 career games against the Indiana Pacers, he's grabbed 11 or more rebounds in 9 of those 11 games, including 3 of those games where he had 20 or more rebounds. So I think he has another big game here tonight, rebounding the basketball. It's lock number 2. I'll go Joel Embiid over 10.5 rebounds for Katie.
I love that because I'm going to take the Sixers -7. They are just been crazy, crazy good at home. I expect another huge night for Joel Embiid, and we've already talked about this game a lot. So give me the Sixers -7.
Love it.
All right, Munaf. It is. Love it. Let's go. I feel like we're on the same side on a lot of things, which, again, I appreciate. Munaf, as always, thank you so much for joining us today. Let the people know where to find you, particularly your NBA podcast, because you're the encyclopedia and people need to know.
Yeah, find us at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, the NBA Gambling Podcast. We go Monday through Friday. We live stream on YouTube. Just make sure to follow the Twitter account. Our Twitter guy does a great job of tweeting out our video clips. And we usually try to put up what time we're going live. But we do go Monday through Friday. We handicap every single game. So it's not a handful of games. We go through every single game. So if you're looking to get into the NBA now with NFL winding down, just make sure to follow us on at SGPN NBA, or just go into your podcast player, NBA Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network.
Absolutely do all of that. Also, you can follow Munaf on Twitter at SportsNerd824. Is the 824, are you August 24th? Is that your birthday? Or
it's actually a tribute to Kobe. Kobe was one of my favorite players growing up.
Yes.
But he, even despite being a Rockets fan down here in Houston, he always used to kill us. But just the way this guy played basketball and conducted himself, just one of the best to ever do it. So it's a little homage to Kobe.
Oh, absolutely. All right. At SportsNerd824 for Kobe Mamba mentality every day with Munaf. Again, thank you so much. This has been Moxie Bets presented by Caesar Sportsbook. Don't forget to follow us on social as well at Moxie Bets. We'll see you next time.